Hello students. So in previous class we have finished your 15th chapter, the law and justice, a case study. So we have finished all the topics in that. So now today we are going to discuss about your 16th chapter, the abolition of the zamindari system. So here is the topic: rural poverty at the time of independence. So when our India has become the independent, first of all, the biggest challenge faced by the country was what? The acute poverty. Poorness. Poverty is nothing but poorness, especially in the rural areas, in the villages. This poverty has been faced when India became independent by themselves. So our country has faced with the poverty, especially in the village areas, and it is estimated that more than half of the rural population, how much? The half of the, it means 55% people in the rural areas, they were very poor. It means that is around 18.6 crore people are suffering from the problem of the poverty, and they did not have any access to any resources like land, and they don't have particular resources also, like what? Land for what purpose? For agriculture, for cultivation purpose. So they don't have land also, and nor they don't have education also, proper education also, that which they could help them to get some gainful employment. So they don't have land also for agriculture purpose, for cultivation purpose, and they doesn't have the education also to get the gainful income, to get the opportunities for any employment. In fact, if we see, the opportunities for employment also very few for them, like labor work, the employment opportunities were also, there were very few employment opportunities. So the only employment it is open to them was what? Because they doesn't have education, because they don't have own land. So that's why the only employment which is available to them is extremely, it is low paid agricultural laborers. It means they have to work in the fields as per the low income. So a very large proportion of the peasants were landless. It means if we see a very huge numbers of people who are there, they are landless only, and they are working as what? They are working as in the fields like the laborers only. And some of the people who are there with them, some of them are leased in lands which belonging to the landlords, to whom they had to pay rent and do forced the labor. So some people who are there, the people who will, like from the owners, they'll take money. So to repay that money, what they will do, the owner, the landlords, they will do force to work as a labor, to work in their fields. Or else, if for example, if somebody has given the rent, their homes to the people, so the people, in case if they won't able to pay the rent, then what they will do, the owners, they will force that people to work in their fields. So like this, the hunger constantly haunted them because of poverty and because of poorness. What is happening? The hungerness is, it is continuously, it has haunting them, and the famines and epidemics also were frequently devastating here. At the time of the independence, at the time of our independence of our country, it is the widely agreed, what is they have widely agreed, that in order to end all the rural areas poverty. So what happened at the time of our independence? It is the agreed by the people that in order to what? In order to finish the poverty in the rural areas, especially in the rural areas, because in cities they will get opportunities, and also some people are educated, they'll get proper opportunities, employment, so they can, so that people they are not facing with the poverty, especially in rural areas people only they are facing with a lot of poverty. So it was very most important that to give the poor access to land for the cultivation. So in rural areas they have to remove the poverty. So what they have to do, they are the poor the people, the most important factor is that they have to give the poor access to land as for the cultivation, and to give the land for the cultivation when it is possible. This could be possible only done by ending the zamindari system or the landlordism. It is nothing but in previous years, in earlier years, what the zamindari system used to be there, isn't it? The zamindaris who are there, only they have the cultivating land. The other people who are living in the villages, they used to just work as a labor in the fields. So if the people want to get employment, if the people want to get the money income, then what is the main source here? They have to get the land for cultivation. So when they will get the land for cultivation, when the zamindari system has been removing, then only they can assist. Or else the landlords who are there, the landlordism system which is there, it have to remove first of all. The agitations of the during when the British rule, it is mainly focused the attention on the problems and the demands and hopes of the peasants here. So what they have mainly focused, the problems and demands and hopes of the peasants. So it was very clear that the people who are there, they want the government to what, to reduce the taxes which the government has been giving to them. So they have to reduce the taxes and free them, they have to reduce the taxes and they have to free them from the strange hold of, like they have to free them from the money lenders and the terror of the zamindaris. In the zamindari system, the people, the zamindars who are there, they'll behave like a terror. So they have to reduce it by the reducing the taxes, they are saying to the government. So, and they also demanded, they will all, the people who are there, they also demanding what, they also demanded that the land should belong to the peasant who actually ploughed it. So what they are saying, the land, it should be belong to the people who are actually ploughing it. So the what is the slogan, the people who are doing the strike with the slogan, the land to the tiller. So this was the slogan they was shouting in the strikes and everywhere. So they are shouting this slogan. Coming to the next topic, the abolition of zamindaris and the other intermediary tenures. So first of all, the law to abolish, it means to remove the zamindari system. The law is passed in the year of 1950s by all the state governments. This law is passed. So they also abolished all the forms of forced labor. So they have removed. So when the law came into existence, what they have done, they have removed all the forms of forced labor, like what, like beggars and all this, they have removed, they have abolished. So this effectively ended one of the most important grievances of the rural masses. So if we see here, there are three types of controls of the landlords were identified. What is that? First one is the collection of land revenue. So what is the first control of the landlords here? What they have identified, the collection of land revenue. And secondly, what is that? Completely keeping the control over the cultivated land. And this was furtherly, it is subdivided into what? It is subdivided into those cultivated by recognized tenants and those lands which were under direct cultivation of the land. So what it is happened? It is subdivided into the cultivated by the recognized tenants and the lands which are under cultivated of the landlords. Coming to the third control, thirdly it is control over the complete forests who are there and the wastelands which are there. So about this, the thirdly it is completely control over on it. So let us see how the Land Reform Acts it has addressed these issues. So first, what is the first point here? First of all the laws were passed to end the system of revenue collection by the zamindars. So first of all, they have passed one law. What is that? To end the system of the revenue collection, which is happening by the zamindars. So this system they got into existence, and all landowners who are there, they were to pay the taxes directly to the government. So all the own landowners who are there, they have to pay the taxes. They don't need to pay the taxes to the other people or the landlords or zamindars. So they have to pay directly to the government here. So since the zamindars they would lose their source of income. So like this, if the government is directly taking the taxes, what is happening here? It is a loss to the zamindars only. So like this, the zamindars they would lose their source of income. So then the government have decided to compensate them by the payments. So this compensation was about how much? 20 to 30 times more than annual income. So what is the compensation by the government is decided? It is it was about the 20 to 30 times more than their annual income. So coming to the second point, what is the second point here? The lands of zamindars which were cultivated by recognized tenants was taken over by the government, and the tenants were also declared the owners of the land. So what is in the second point we can see that what is the land of the zamindars which is there. So it is cultivated, it is cultivating by whom? The recognized tenants. So after that, they were which were over by the government, the tenants were also declared the owners of the land. So they have to pay the tax directly to the government, not through any intermediaries. So no one should be between in them, no any intermediate persons also they have to be them. So directly the tenants have become the owners of that. So now they can pay the taxes directly to the government. So when the government found that it had spent a lot of money in paying the compensation to zamindars, so if the government has feeling that it is paying lot of money in paying the compensation to the zamindars, so what it will do, it has made the rule. What is the rule the government has made? The tenants who are there, who have become the owners of the land, what they have to do, they would have given the land only if they pay some amount of price for it. So like this, the government has taken money from them. So those people who are there, they would who could pay the money, they will become the owners of the land and were freed from the burden of the landlord system. So if they want to become free from the landlord system, what they have to do, they have to pay some amount of price to them, and they have to free from the landlords, and that land will become completely them's. So in all about the 2 to 2.5 crore tenants who are there, they are benefited because of this government rule, and they have paid some amount of price and they have becomes owner of the lands. So however, the hundreds of thousands of poor people who are there, they could not pay the price or did not have any legal recognition as the tenants. So that why some people, some hundreds of people, they are not able to become the owners of the lands here. So they remained like landless people only, like that only. The sharecroppers or laborers, they are working as a like that, and they have to keep working in the fields of big people and former zamindars. Coming to the third point, what is it? The law also sets that what? The law also, it will say that the zamindaris who are there, they would be the owners of their own land, which they cultivated directly either through the sharecroppers or laborers. So if the zamindaris who are there, if the zamindaris, if they are ready to cultivate their own land directly, then they can become the owners of that land. Otherwise they won't. If in case either they are doing the cultivation like from the sharecroppers or the laborers, so what, then they are not the owners of their land. So this provision has actually, it is enabled the most of the zamindaris to retain the control over most of the lands, as they declared their tenants to the sharecroppers or the laborers. And they also evicted a large number of tenants to take over their lands for self cultivation. So what they have done, first of all, the provision, it is actually, it is what the most zamindaris who are there, they are control over most of the lands, as they declare their tenants to be sharecroppers or laborers. And also the large number of tenants who are there, they take over their lands as a self cultivation only, and they become their owners. So they used various loopholes in the law to retain control over large portion of the lands here. So this was became the Land Reform Act. So like this only it is became what? The Land Reform Acts. So did not set a limit to the amount of the land a person could own it. So coming to the fourth point, so as per the new laws which we got, first of all, so the government, what it have done, the government have took over the waste and forest lands held by the zamindaris. So whatever the forest lands and waste lands which is completely, it has taken control under the zamindaris. Then what the new, when the new law systems have got, what the government has done, the government has took over all these waste and forest lands. So at that time, the what happened at that time, the zamindaris who are there, they tried to make the most of it by cutting down all the trees and selling them. So when the zamindaris got the information about the government has taken complete over this land under their control, then what the people have done, the zamindars have done, they have started cutting the trees. So they have started cutting the trees, and they are started selling the all the trees over that. So selling them by in this way, the many large forest tracts were destroyed. So in this way, by cutting the forests and all the lands which are there, what has happened in this way, all the large forests which are there, they have damaged, they have destroyed here. So however, the government have gained control over the large tracts of wasteland. So at last the government have got control, complete control over the wastelands which are presented, which are owned by the zamindari people. So what happened, the government have taken control over that completely. So the government has got it has gained the control of the wastelands. So which we can, which it could use. So like this, when it gained by the control of large tracts, what happened for the wastelands, it can, which it could use for what purpose, which it could use for the development and also redistribution to the poor people who are there in the rural villages. So these four points are the Land Reform Acts, which has addressed some of the issues here. So in today's class, we have discussed the two topics, the rural poverty at the time of the independence, in the same way the abolition of the zamindari, and also the intermediary tenures. So In next class, we will discuss about the remaining topics of this chapter. The abolition of the Jagirdari system in Telangana, and what happened in that, what is the history about this, or how the abolition of the all the systems have been removed. So we will discuss everything in the next class.